Hello and welcome to Unfold. I am Jawad Tehami. There are going to be two different segments in today's episode of Unfold. The first will primarily talk about the failure of the de facto authorities in Afghanistan, the Afghan Taliban, in terms of not upholding the international commitment of reining in the terrorist and militant organizations based in Afghanistan. Also, the governance failure over there. They haven't been able to stabilize the economy of the country despite having ruled that war-ravaged country for more than 4.5 years. That is going to be the topic for the first segment of today's show. In the second segment of today's show, we are going to take the stock of the deepening divisions when it comes to the transatlantic security alliance, NATO and the United States of America, especially under President Trump's administration, as the US decided to withdraw 5,000 troops from Germany. What does that move indicate is going to be the topic in the second segment of today's show. Let's begin with the first one. When we specifically talk about the situation in Afghanistan, it is exporting instability in the region because of the failure of the Afghan Taliban on three fronts: the security, legitimacy, and welfare. We've also seen they have been miserably failed to uphold their international commitment of not allowing the Afghan soil for the terrorist purposes by the militant organizations and the terrorist outfits, such as the banned Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, which is Fitna al-Khawarij, and banned BLA and its other affiliates, which is Fitna al-Hindustan, which are based in Afghanistan and have been using Afghanistan soil with impunity, with the freedom of navigation, with all the connivance and the logistical support by the Afghan Taliban at the same time. Also, Pakistani authorities on a number of occasions had shared with them how these militant elements had been involved in perpetrating heinous acts of terrorism here in Pakistan since the Kabul takeover by the Taliban back in 2021. But there has been, unfortunately, a pattern of denial on the part of the de facto authorities in Afghanistan. In the parallel, Pakistan has also been sensitizing the international community about the situation, the deteriorating situation with every single passing day vis-a-vis Afghanistan. But we haven't seen any sort of a concrete action on the part of the de facto authorities in Afghanistan. And we have yet to see that sort of support from the international community when it comes to impressing upon or holding the de facto authorities accountable for their failure in upholding their promises. Also, not only that, there is an internal collapse within Afghanistan because of the bad governance structure, bad governance model the Afghan authorities are pursuing. Also, we have seen exclusion of various strata of society, most particularly when we talk about women. There are multiple reports that speak volume about how women's strata of the society has been excluded from the mainstream. Around only 7% of women population is employed, and that actually exacerbates the situation within Afghanistan in terms of economy as well. We've also seen reports suggesting that there is massive poverty, and also Afghan authorities primarily depend on the humanitarian aid from the international community. So the basic question is, can such a de facto authority sustain itself while it exports insecurity into the region, at the same time importing the humanitarian aid? All these important questions are for discussion in today's segment. For that, we are on to be joined by Lieutenant General retired Raza Muhammad Khan. He's a defense analyst. Formerly, he has served as the president of National Defense University. General Raza, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on this show tonight. Really appreciate that. General Raza, can a de facto authority that hasn't been able to get the legitimacy despite its rule for more than 4.5 years in Afghanistan, and it made a lot of promises, it was not able to get that legitimacy, yet continues to export insecurity, is dependent on the international aid, can it sustain itself for a longer period of time?
Well, I think, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, to very briefly answer your question, I think it will be very difficult for them to sustain themselves for long because of the multiple problems that are created by the Taliban regimes themselves for the people of Pakistan, for the people of Afghanistan, for their own country, for the problems that they've created for the region, in fact, the whole world, by harboring and sponsoring terrorists from at least 2 dozen groups, which was stated very clearly by the UN Security Council special group of Afghanistan. And I think when it comes to Pakistan's efforts to fight against all these terrorists, I think it is doing so not only for its own security, but for the security of the entire region, in fact, the whole world. And I think the earlier Afghanistan and the world understands this compulsion to support Pakistan's effort, I think the better it would be for peace, security, development, not only for the people of Afghanistan, but the whole world. Specifically, I would make a mention of the TTP, the BLA, and the BLP, who are not only sponsored by the Afghan Taliban, but also India. And there are confirmed reports that at least when it comes to the TTP, then they have been offered government positions and they are being paid by the Taliban government. Many of them have been seen, roaming about in the diplomatic area of Afghanistan. Many of them have been seen coming in and out of the Afghan Ministry of Defense and the Afghan Ministry of Interior. Last year in May, when India attacked Pakistan, I think Pakistan was simultaneously attacked from multiple directions by these terrorists. And I think it was with the support of not India, but the Taliban. But I think Pakistan, even at that time and even now, is showing a lot of restraint to make sure that these people are beaten back, and at the same time that no civilians are ever harmed in its counter-terrorism operations against these terrorists.
Right, General Raza Khan, when we specifically talk about the India factor, I mean, is there any sort of mechanism that we can actually look forward to? There is irrefutable evidence in this particular regard also that how India has been exporting terrorism, not only here in this region, but also around the globe. There is a classical case of that assassination there in Canada on the Canadian soil. We've seen that assassination attempt on the US soil also. So it clearly raised the eyebrows when it came to the Western countries also. So isn't it the high time for the international community as a whole and collectively to consider how India has been acting as a spoiler of peace, not only in this region, but also for the globe at large, and to hold it accountable for its transitions?
Well, I think the whole world has now recognized that Pakistan was right when it said that India has actually become a rogue international state, and it is trying to emulate what Israel is doing in the world. That is actually, they are committing war crimes, crimes against humanity, and they should be actually designated as international terrorists. And in the BJP leaderships actually should be persecuted by the International Criminal Court. And I think they have actually got isolated. The world knows about it. You can see, their isolation in the United States, Israeli and Iran war. And you can also see that after Markai Haq, I think they were totally isolated. No country in the world except Afghanistan supported them, which again goes to prove that Afghanistan is being used by India for creating destability inside Pakistan and all around. And you're right in pointing out that I think it's high time that the international community prevents it, and also that the present interim Afghanistan government understands that if they are misusing the Afghan territory, then I think they will be answerable not only to Pakistan, to its own people, but the entire world, because these are some of the actions which are against the United Nations Security Council resolutions on terrorism, and such kind of efforts actually are going to promote terrorism in the entire region. And I think India needs to understand itself that if it continues supporting terrorists inside Afghanistan to undertake continuous attacks against Pakistani interests and against Chinese interests, then I think sooner than later it will have to pay a price once again for such aggression.
Right, General Razak Khan, when we specifically talk about Financial Action Task Force, when we refer to India financing and facilitating the proxy groups for its nefarious designs against Pakistan, of course, that very element of financing these militant organizations and terrorist groups come into the light also. Doesn't it actually raise very pertinent and serious questions when it comes to the Financial Action Task Force playing its role and fulfilling its responsibility of checking how the money is being transferred to these terrorist outfits from India?
Absolutely. I think the FATF needs to take a suo moto notice of that. And I think before the start of the program, you're talking about the EU report on Afghanistan for 2026. I think they should have taken notice of this because it was not, that report is not only about human rights or Afghans trying to take refuge in 20 European countries, and the European countries wanted to actually deport them back to Pakistan because most of their applications were frivolous. I think organizations like this, they must take cognizance of Indian role in Afghanistan and creating instability there. Also, I'd like to add, again, quoting the same report, which says that so far, Russia is the only country in the world which has recognized formally the Afghan government in July 2025, and all other countries of the world. They've said that their further recognition is conditional, to actually democratic norms and formation of an inclusive government and respect for human rights, and so on and so forth. The same report also says that over 100 persons within the de facto Afghan government, they are actually they are sanctioned by the United States and many countries of the world, and many of them belong to the Haqqani network, and also that this sanctioning of 100 Taliban leaders is making, interaction with these people by European countries and others very difficult, and that in terms is making, the provision of assistance, humanitarian assistance to the government very difficult. And at the same time, it has added that in July 2025, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for the Taliban supreme leader and Mr. Abdul Hakim Haqqani, which is their Chief Justice, on charges of gender persecution. So this is the overall, situation there, which is of grave concern for Pakistan and also for the entire regional countries and Europe. And therefore, I think the more these countries actually look at how to help Pakistan, how to assist Pakistan in creating security not only for them but for everyone else, including the foreign diplomats residing in Pakistan. I think it was a diplomat from the United Kingdom who had actually only yesterday I was reading it in the paper that they had raised some concerns about civilian casualties in Afghanistan as a result of Pakistani counter-terrorism operations. And I think the Foreign Office responded to it very rightly and effectively by saying that our counter-terrorism operations were precision operations and there were no civilians casualties as a consequence of this. And the EU report itself says that the present Taliban government is itself carrying out, operations against its own people who are dissidents and who do not agree with their political philosophy.